It is so much better than college, drinking a smoothie in the morning and then eating 30 minutes later. Like, I just don't have time for that. It is the opposite of a corporate culture. Hi guys, my name is Michelle Reed. If you guys are new here, welcome to my channel. You should definitely stick around. I make a ton of lifestyle videos. I just started a job. I live in New York City, and so I just do a lot of kind of like showing my life, showing what it's like living in New York City, adjusting to a 9-to-5 job. I just graduated from college, so I'm just in a really new phase of life, and it's definitely a fun time to join my channel because everything's new and I don't really know what's going on. So I just feel like with all of those changes, I really wanted to do kind of a chatty Q&A, just answering any questions y'all might have. I love doing these videos and I love watching them when I get ready in the morning. Like, let me know if you resonate with this, but whenever someone uploads like a 20-minute juicy Q&A of just some good questions, I am all about that. So feel free to watch this when you're getting ready, grab a cup of coffee. And as always, I just ask for questions on my Instagram. It's at Michelle Reed. Super duper easy. I'm pretty active on Instagram. How do you feel so far about your job? So I've only done a week of work so far, so I'm definitely still new, but I absolutely love it. It is so much better than college. I cannot explain. I really love the environment. I really love the work I'm doing. Basically, I feel like a lot of people don't really know what I'm doing. I'm trying to keep the company I work for private and kind of be private about it, but to explain my actual job, I'm a marketing coordinator for a marketing company. They basically work for clients who are trying to kind of outsource their marketing, specifically influencer marketing. So working with people like myself, like other people on YouTube, Instagram, Twitter, whatever it may be. And so these will be lifestyle brands that are trying to kind of gain traction, find the right people to collaborate with. And so as a coordinator, I track posts, I help find influencers, I help kind of do the data behind it in terms of figuring out, you know, what people would work best for campaigns. It's a lot of pitching and kind of figuring out creative strategies. So I'm obviously still learning. It's a lot of different things, and I think that's why I love it, because being a YouTuber, I'm so used to doing so many different jobs that I love my job now, because it's still definitely that thing of like kind of just pick up work wherever. It's always something different. I also work in a building that is really nice because you can basically work in the actual office for the company, or you can work in other areas. So it's kind of like a co-working space, which I didn't honestly think that I would like, but I really like it. I feel like I have a lot of freedom and kind of independence at work because I am an independent person. It's a very new job because influencer marketing is so new. So it's fun. It's like, it's different, it's new, it is the opposite of a corporate culture, and I love it. I work with all women and they're all just super great, so I really like it so far. I think it's the perfect job for me, and I'm just so blessed that like God put this in my hands, because I couldn't imagine being at a different place. And I did get rejected from jobs that were more kind of corporate, and so it's just really nice knowing that I'm at the place that I'm meant to be, and so far I really like it. How are you? I love this question because I'm actually in such a good place right now. I was definitely really anxious leaving Texas. As you guys know, I was very anxious about adjusting to, you know, a 9-to-5, being away from my family. Really being in New York life, like long term, was really making me worried. This past week has just been so good. It has been such a blessing. I feel like I'm really adjusting to this new life, and I'm really loving New York. It's just been like such a nice week. The summer in New York is so fun. It's just really beautiful weather, and there's so many fun things to do. I'm currently apartment searching too, and I found an apartment that I really hope works out, because it is just a really great apartment for this stage of my life. And so yeah, I am honestly doing really great. My relationship's really great. I'm still kind of trying to figure out having time to hang out with friends. I think that's the one thing that I'm still working out the kinks on, because obviously I come home from work and I pretty much do YouTube work and I work out and I like to eat healthy. So there's just like a lot of things to balance that I'm figuring it out. But once I get the social life stuff kind of like set, I think I will be even better. How does your family feel with you working in NYC and not moving back home after school? I guess I would like have to ask them. I feel like they would be the best ones to know the answer to this. But my family's always been really supportive of me, and my parents were not worried whenever I wanted to move here for college. So I think it was kind of always a thought that I might stay here. I'm very close with my family and I stay in contact with them a lot. And so I definitely feel like obviously your family would prefer for you to be closer to home. I think some people kind of work better whenever they are like apart from each other, and that's just not the case for me. I definitely feel like I vibe well with my family, and if I would have worked in Dallas, I think that that would have been like perfectly normal and fine. And I eventually feel like I would move back to Texas, but for now, obviously my job, as I said, it's very like new and up and coming. It would have just been a hard job to find in Dallas because I don't think that that industry is entirely as popular there. It would have been harder to find a job, and so they're praying for me. They are always looking out for me, and obviously they would rather me be back home, but they just always continue to support me. Will you marry sooner since living with Aiden will be financially and generally easier? I have talked about marriage a lot. I've been dating my boyfriend for almost 3 years now, and so it's definitely something that is like, I do plan on marrying him, quote, sooner, I guess, in terms of like what age most people get married at. Within like the next 1 to 2 years, I would definitely want to be engaged. It just makes sense. I know that I want to marry him, and obviously financially having 2 incomes working in New York City is very helpful because it is very expensive here, but that's not the main reason by any means. I think that's more of just like an added bonus. But yeah, I'm really excited for that. I'm excited to be like married, young, living in New York City. I just think that that's going to be so fun. I can't even describe it. I'm not going to live with him before I'm married, and so obviously there's that anticipation. Gonna work out some kinks of some things that might annoy me, but at the same time, I'm really trying to be content in the stage of life that I'm in. I am so excited for next year. I've never lived with Rose before. Rose is my friend from Texas, and so I'm so excited to live with her. We're just talking about our apartment and like planning, and so I am really content with the phase of life that I'm in right now, but I'm sure it's gonna be really exciting being in that phase of life down the road. What do you think about this new food combining trend? I have actually thought about this a lot, and I don't disagree with it. I honestly haven't looked into it that much. Maybe it works. I think if it works for you, then like, heck yeah, go for it. But for me, I feel like it's not super practical for everyone in terms of like drinking a smoothie in the morning and then eating 30 minutes later. Like, I just don't have time for that. I think that's perfectly fine if you do, but it just doesn't fit into my lifestyle. I feel like the past year of my life, since November, since I stopped being a vegetarian, I've really gotten balanced with my eating, and I just have a very healthy relationship with food in terms of like everything in moderation. I don't really cut things out, but at the same time, it's like I am very diligent about eating healthy. So I think everyone just has to find what works for them. If being vegan works for you, great. If being vegetarian works for you, even better. If food combining works for you, heck yeah, go for it. You know, it just kind of depends on you and what your preferences are. I love this question, and she asked how to be kinder, like tips to be softer and slower to speak and quick to listen. Oh my gosh, I'm literally bleeding. I think that this is the opposite of what our culture is today. I think it's very much like be the loudest one in the room, get your voice heard immediately, like don't listen, don't. And obviously there are times to be like that, I'm not discounting that, but I do think that we don't pride ourselves on like being patient as much, and that's something that I realized in my own life. I think with technology, with just having everything at your fingertips, it's like you don't really have to be patient. You can do things right away, you can speak right away, you can tweet right away. And so for me personally, this is really simple, and I feel it might not make sense, but something that's helped me a lot, commuting and going on walks without my phone and noticing things in my surroundings. It's really easy whenever you're listening to music or a podcast to just like, you know, grunt whenever someone's walking slower in front of you, or to be weirded out by the homeless man who like asks you for money, whenever you have those distractions. But whenever you're present and observant, and I feel like you notice the things around you, you start to recognize that like everyone is so different, everyone is a person, everyone has a soul, and like they should be treated as such. I don't really know if this makes sense, but I feel like whenever you're less distracted, the more you're in tune with the people around you and how to treat them. Yesterday I was having a really bad day, and I'm not going to explain why because I can't really put this on the internet, but there are just some things going on that are insane that I never thought I would have to deal with, but I have. But I was so angry, and I was walking to Trader Joe's and I saw this precious little girl who had this lemonade stand, and I just like reverted back to my childhood and was thinking, oh my goodness, I remember whenever I would have a lemonade stand and like people would walk by me and not acknowledge me, I would just be so sad. And so I remember I like saw this little girl and she just looked so happy. She was with her dad, and I was like, oh, I don't have any cash, I'm so sorry. And I went to Trader Joe's and I just like happened to get out cash because I was like, you know what, I'm gonna go back. I went back and like bought lemonade from this girl, had a really good conversation with her dad, and it was just a sweet, innocent moment that, you know, maybe I was totally different than that family and those people, but at the same time I feel like you bond over just like being a good neighbor. And so I think my biggest tip is just to see everyone as your neighbor, despite if you have differences, despite if you disagree with anyone. Like, take out your headphones and just recognize that people are people. Do you think that some health YouTubers, influencers contribute to eating disorders? I don't want to say that they are directly the causation source of eating disorders. I don't really think that's fair to say for people. I think you do, as a content creator, have to be really careful with the information that you put up on the internet. And it's like, obviously, as I just said, we don't exactly research things and look into things. And I just think of like me whenever I was 15, you know, watching things on YouTube, wanting to be like these people I was watching, wanting to like have the same habits, just wanting to be very similar to them. You do have to take into account that you have people that are watching your videos like that. And I do think it's possible that, you know, some 15-year-old girl could watch something and be like, oh my goodness, I need to eat this way. If I don't eat this way, I'm going to like be unhealthy and I'm not going to be my best self, and then have this warped mindset. Yeah, I definitely think that's true. I think we have to be careful, but at the same time, I don't think health YouTubers should stop uploading, you know, healthy content. You should just be careful, and I think it's always important whenever you're talking about health and fitness to reiterate that everyone's body's different, that if this doesn't work for you, that's okay. We're all different, and that is all right. How did you decide on going to live with Rose? I have gotten this question a lot, and I explained a lot of it in my life update video, which will be in a card right here if you want to check it out. But essentially, right now I live in a very nice apartment building, and because I'm sharing a room with my roommate Nadja, it definitely lessens the price. It just has amenities. It's like a very nice building. However, starting a job, being completely financially independent from my parents, I just want to be more diligent about my money and try to save more. But at the same time, I also want to have my own room. It's something that, for me personally, I have learned that it is important for me to have like my own space, even if it's tiny, because it's New York City. Like, I do want to have my own space. And so I want to be able to pay the same rent that I'm paying now, but also get my own room, which means, you know, moving out of like a nice building and into, you know, more of like a walk-up style. So Rose's sister graduated from college and she was going to school here, so she also needed a roommate, so it just worked out. Whereas my roommate Nadja really wanted to stay in this building because she likes it and it's a great place to be. It's a very nice building, so I totally get why she wants to stay here. And so that is why I'm moving. It was like no beef or anything. I don't want anyone to think that. Since I'm doing both YouTube and my job, it's just important to have a space to be able to film, and so that is why I'm ultimately moving in with Rose. What is Aiden planning on doing after he graduates? This is funny because I feel like I've never actually talked about what Aiden likes to do. So my boyfriend Aiden is a finance major. He loves finance. He thinks it is very interesting, but specifically he really likes real estate. He's obsessed with finding kind of like undervalued property and then kind of working it up to be a nicer property. He would explain it a lot better than I do, but he wants to do like the finance side of real estate in terms of like real estate private equity, and so that is what he's doing right now. He's doing a full-time internship in the city right now doing that, and he really likes it. Bless his heart, he tries to get me to really like it as much as he does, and I'm just not interested as he is. But at the same time, whenever like someone talks about something they're passionate about, it almost makes you want to be passionate about it too, because he just gets so excited. But that is what he's going to do after he graduates. He wants to stay here and do that here in the city. And he's really good at it. How is the church in New York City similar / different to your old church in Texas? So this is a really good question, because whenever I was finding a church in the city, it was so different than what I was used to. I was used to in Texas going to a very non-denominational, more evangelical Christian church that was a little bit looser in terms of worship and longer sermons, very Bible based. That is kind of where I came from. That's a lot of the churches in Texas and maybe more in the South in general. But whenever I actually moved here, I found that church was so much more traditional, which is not what I was expecting. You have a set liturgy that you read, you recite prayers out loud, you recite the Lord's Prayer, you recite scripture, you have very formal communions, and you still have like a pretty long sermon, and you know the content of what you're teaching is the same, but it's very much more traditional worship. And I found that I actually really like it. It definitely took me a long time to get used to, but the more I did it, the more I kind of grew to appreciate the tradition. And it's something that millennials in general are turning away from, more kind of self-help type church and kind of going for more traditional church. And it's really interesting to see that trend, because I don't think anyone was really expecting it. Are you planning on traveling outside of the country anytime soon? This is interesting because I've actually never gone out of the country, and I'm just gonna be completely honest, I am not someone who, like, I like to travel, I think it's fun, but it is not something that I like yearn for in my soul. I definitely feel like it would be a nice experience. Right now I am really focusing on saving money and being diligent, and obviously like wanting to get married. I just want to make sure I am not spending a lot of money, and just like being honest with starting work, I don't really see how people travel so much with having jobs. I know some people get more like paid time off, which maybe that's why, but that's just not something that whenever I get the chance to travel, I just usually want to go back home and like see my family. So it's not like if I have, you know, a 4-day weekend, I want to like go to Italy. It's like, okay, I want to go home to Texas. But I definitely think really like the idea of like going abroad for the first time. Like whenever I get married, I think that'll be like really fun and new and exciting. But in short, it's just not something that I care that much about. It's just like kind of expensive. Starting a new job tomorrow, tips for post-grad job anxiety. I just want to say that post-grad stress is so real. Whenever people talked about it, I always kind of thought it was stupid, but now actually being in it, like, it is definitely a very weird being in school for 17 years to just not being in school. Like, it is very much different. So I guess like my biggest tip would just be that no, don't need to be in a certain place. You don't need to have a job by a certain age. If you do get a job, that like it takes time to be brought up to speed, and that, you know, ask questions. Don't feel like because you are new that you are inadequate. Kind of just embracing the change and being content with the phase of life that you're in without feeling insecure. Much easier said than done, and talk to people about it. That's something that I think my freshman year of college, I was really bad about coping with the things that I was going through, and I wouldn't open up to people. But I have gotten much better at just like openly asking for help from specifically my parents and specifically my family, and even just like with my boyfriend Aiden. I feel like I've gotten better at processing my feelings through talking. I think this video should be at 20 minutes, so I should be okay. But thank you guys for watching. I hope this gave you guys a little bit more insight onto like my life right now, my feelings, my thoughts, and feel free to share yours down below. If you have any like questions or things you're going through, leave them down below. I love you guys, and I will see you guys in my next video. Bye friends.